Welcome to today's edition of the OpEx Minute, presented by EMS Consulting Group. Today we will be talking about hypothesis testing. When you are problem solving, you are using the scientific method, or at least you should be. You are making hypotheses about the problem and then testing those hypotheses to determine whether or not they are valid. While this doesn't always require statistical hypothesis testing, there are cases where such hypothesis testing is helpful. Now, what is statistical hypothesis testing? Hypothesis testing is a way of determining whether or not there is a statistically significant difference or relationship in your data. For example, let's suppose you are comparing the mean of a key dimension for materials coming in from two different suppliers, supplier A and B. How would you go about using a hypothesis test? Step 1, state the statistical problem in terms of the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. In our case, the null hypothesis is that there is no difference in the mean between supplier A's parts and supplier B's parts. The alternative hypothesis is that they are not equal. Step 2, select the appropriate statistical test. In this case, we will use a two-sample t-test since we are comparing sample means. Step 3, select alpha and beta risk levels. Alpha and beta values determine the chance that the statistical conclusion will be incorrect. There are two types of errors, cleverly called type 1 errors and type 2 errors. Alpha is the probability of a type 1 error, concluding that there is a difference when in reality there is not. Beta is the probability of a type 2 error, concluding that there is no difference when in fact there is. Most commonly, alpha is set to 0.05 and beta to 0.10. The beta value will determine the sample size you need. Too small of a sample size increases the chance of a type 2 error. Step 4, perform the test and state the statistical conclusion. To determine a conclusion, the p-value of the test is compared with alpha. If the p-value is less than alpha, then we reject the null hypothesis. We have apparently found a significant difference. If the p-value is greater than alpha, then we cannot reject the null hypothesis. This means we do not have enough evidence to conclude that there is a significant difference. There is much more to hypothesis testing than we can cover in an OpEx Minute. If you have an interest in learning more about this topic, visit our website at www.emsstrategies.com and contact us. We would be happy to help.